Hello, my awesome artists. This week we are finishing up our landscape that we started last week. If you remember, last week we left off by just outlining with Sharpie all of our pencil lines for our layered landscape that shows depth. It shows when something's close up versus far away. Today we are just going to color it in. So last week we did all the hard work, which was planning, and drawing, and outline. This week we are coloring it in. Here is mine all finished. As you can see, you can really see the layers now with the colors. So you have the sky, the back forest, this lake or pond, this with a house, this one with a barn and more buildings, and then a close-up. And you can also see that these trees are further away because they are smaller than these tops of the trees down here because those are much bigger. I use crayons, markers, and watercolors. You can use whatever supplies you have. I did do the crayons first and then I did the watercolors on top because if you remember, crayons and watercolors don't mix. So like for the sky and the clouds, I did the crayons in the clouds first because when I painted the sky, I didn't want the clouds to also get painted. The crayons and the watercolors is known as a resist, which means that the watercolors can't get underneath the crayons, and that means that the paper stays whatever crayon color you did. So if you want to keep a spot white, like I did for my sailboat, I did crayons for that first to make sure it didn't get the watercolor from the water onto the sailboat. Let's get started. This is super fast because we pretty much just drew out a coloring sheet, so now you know the drill. You are just going to color it in however you would like. But I do have a couple tricks. So like I said before, I use crayons first, and what I use to make the trees look more like fluffy, like real trees, is I use the light green and the dark green. And then when I was using watercolors, I also painted in to get all the little tiny white spots. So there's a few different shades of green in my trees when I'm all done. I went in and I used crayons to color in pretty much all of the objects besides like the sky, the ground, and the water. And that's to ensure that those like houses and the car stay clean and like watercolors doesn't bleed out. That sometimes happens when you like mix two colors too close together. I will show you a trick if you don't have watercolors. I've shown you before, but it's the marker hack where you color marker on a plastic baggie and then you use a wet paintbrush or a wet Q-tip to paint the ink from the markers onto your paper just like watercolors. It really works the exact same way. And then as you can see, I'm mixing the different like green and yellow together on the side of my watercolors to get different shades of green. I mix green and blue to get more like a teal, dark colored green. So test it out, see what colors you can make out of your watercolors or markers. Or remember, you could just use colored pencil or markers or crayons for the whole thing. But that's about it. Good work. Way to go finishing up your landscape. I can't wait to see it. So make sure you take a photo. Your photo is straight. You have good light in your room. And then you submit it in Google Classroom. Next week is a catch-up week. We only have 2 weeks left to do our artwork. You have until Monday the 24th to turn in any artwork for fourth quarter. I hope you had fun with this project. Bye!